Good evening.
Good evening.
If you do have a mobile phone, if you'd like to put it on silent, please, thanks. Right, hope you all had a fantastic summer. That was a proper one, by the way, for a while anyway. So welcome back. A huge welcome to Dave Murphy. Dave introduces a new healing modality, not as an adjunct to the current orthodox medical system, but separate from it. Bodycentric Health is designed to be cheap and accessible, but requiring some self-discipline. Oh dear. The benefits are alleged to be glowing health even, and elimination of existing disease. For without your health, not much else matters. Please welcome Dave Murphy.
Thank you, everyone. Right, so Bodycentric Health. This is a term I've basically made up myself, really, because there's nothing kind of like this out there. So to start with, we're talking about the existing medical system. Yeah, you know, if they knew what they were talking about, then it wouldn't be so confusing, would it? I mean, every year it seems, you know, one day, you know, one year fat is good, and you know, certain saturated fats are good, and eggs are bad, and next year eggs are good and fat's bad, and so on and so on. And you know, does everybody else feel that you can't really keep up with what they're telling us? So yeah, it's all too confusing. The problem is that we have a system, a medical system, that's called allopathic medicine. Now the thing about allopathic medicine is that it only deals with the symptom and not the actual cause or the problem. So it's also based on this idea that the human body is not, you know, completely evolved, because, you know, according to the medical system, you know, evolution is real. So that kind of implies that the human body hasn't completely evolved yet. Yeah, so we're not perfect, and you know, we're subject to you know, the parts wearing out and things like that. Actually, the medical system considers us like a car, you know, made up of all these separate parts that you know, separately wear out, and one thing is independent from all the other things. It also contends that we need something external to make us better, and we require sort of you know, long hospital stays and that sort of thing. Yeah, their treatment always, absolutely always, entails side effects, which are really primary effects. And yeah, last thing, $1 trillion industry. Now this is where I should have had my computer. Sorry. Yeah, so this is a quote from Dr. Alan Greenberg. Yeah, as a retired physician, I can honestly say that if you're in a serious accident, your best chance of living to unless you're in a serious accident, your best chance of living to a ripe old age is to avoid doctors and hospitals and learn about nutrition, herbal medicine, and other forms of natural medicine, unless you are fortunate enough to have a naturopathic physician available. Almost all drugs are toxic and are designed only to treat symptoms and not to cure anyone. Vaccines are highly dangerous and have never been adequately studied or proven to be effective, and have a poor risk to reward ratio. Most surgery is unnecessary, and most textbooks of medicine are inaccurate and deceptive. Almost every disease is said to be idiopathic, without known cause, or genetic, although this is untrue. In short, our mainstream medical system is hopelessly inept and/or corrupt. The treatment of cancer and degenerative diseases is a national scandal. The sooner you learn this, the better off you'll be. Now this is a doctor talking, yeah? I don't know. I don't know if he's still alive. But this is an actual doctor talking, and he's telling you that you've got to avoid the mainstream medical system like the plague. And I don't know if you've come across some of these news stories. There's one over here who's is a cancer doctor who was basically arrested because he was falsely diagnosing people with cancer, getting him onto chemotherapy and getting kickbacks from the drug companies and the government. And he was making millions by falsely diagnosing people. And when you consider that most people die of the cancer treatment, not the cancer, you know, there were people walking into his surgery perfectly healthy, going out with chemotherapy drugs and no doubt dying of the chemotherapy. Yeah, and this is happening more than we realise. The other news story there, obviously you can't read it, but it's basically saying that the whole cancer science has been exposed as fraudulent. You know, everything that the doctors supposedly know is a fraud. And these statistics, in 1976 the doctors went on strike in Los Angeles for 1 month, and the number of deaths fell by 18%. It was even worse in Israel in 1983, when the mortality rate dropped by half. And you can bet, as soon as they went back to work, the death rate went straight back up again. What does that tell you? Yeah, and as it says there, the idea of death by doctor is now so prevalent that it's got its own name, iatrogenic death. And depending on whose numbers you use, it is the leading cause of death, at least in America. So body-centric health is a very different proposition. It contends that the human body is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But what it's doing is it's struggling to keep up with the circumstances that we put it under. We're in an extremely toxic environment. You know, everything is essentially poisonous. You know, and our body is doing, you know, what it can under the circumstances. Because the human body is the only thing that can heal the human body. It's the only thing. It's not drugs, it's not mysterious energies, it's not Himalayan sea salt or whatever. It's only the human body that can heal itself. So body-centric health is the process of letting your body do its job and staying out of its way. Because everything that the medical establishment tells you to do is exactly the opposite of what the body is wanting you to do. So this whole process, well, it's free. It costs absolutely nothing. Well, might cost one thing, and I'll get into that later. But really, essentially, doesn't cost you anything. Has no side effects whatsoever. And essentially, it's a 4-step process. So, step 1. Stop poisoning yourself. Essentially, everything that you put in your mouth is toxic to one degree or another. Well, when I say toxic, I don't mean it's it's a deadly poison. I'm saying that every time you put something in your mouth or put something into your body has to react or respond to whatever it is. And usually that response is detrimental to the body. Yeah, sometimes the response is seemingly beneficial. I'm not sure if I've got it covered in here, but I'll go through it right now. But let's imagine you have a cold and you've got a streaming nose. Yeah. Well, you could take eucalyptus, and what eucalyptus will do is the body will respond to that eucalyptus by closing the mucus glands. So now your nose is no longer streaming. Yay, all good. Yeah. But the problem there is that that mucus is being created to flush out something from the body. Yeah, so it's a process of clearing the body. And if you interfere with that, yes, your symptom might have gone away, but it's storing up problems for later. Okay? Does everybody get that? Yeah? So one of the biggest problems that we face is food. Yeah? If you go to a place like this to get your food, well, it's not food you're getting. It's mostly artificial flavours and textual extracts that are, masquerading as food. When you go into a supermarket, there's usually only one place you can go to, and that's the fruit and veg. That's it. All this other stuff is, it's processed, and it's, it will harm you. It won't kill you, on day one, but 20 years down the line, you're going to see effects of what you're putting into your mouth. Food is not our friend, right? First line there is that food does not go inside us, right? I'm looking at sort of some puzzled faces here. Food does not go inside us. Yeah, you think you eat an apple and it goes inside you, but it doesn't. If you consider the donut, right? Everywhere you look at that donut, you're looking at the outside of it, right? Audience participation.
Oh yeah.
So everywhere you're looking at, when you look at that donut, you're looking at the outside. Even when you look down the hole, you're looking at the outside of the donut. Yeah? Good grief, I know it's late. So let's imagine if you stretch that donut out into a long tube. Even when you look all the way down the hole, you're still looking at the outside of the donut, right? So imagine putting teeth in the bottom hole at the other side, right? That's us. Yeah? Food doesn't go in us, it goes through us. The stomach is just a bulge in the tube. Yeah? So, I'm not sure if I'll go through this, but so you have to forgive me because this is a new talk for me because I do very similar talks and they contain different information. So what happens when we eat food is pretty much the same thing as what happens when we walk through a forest and our skin touches stinging nettles. Yeah. So the stinging nettles don't really don't go inside you. They don't become part of you. They just cause a chemical reaction on the surface of the skin. But inside your body, all sorts of processes get kicked off. So there's increased blood flow to the area. Heart rate goes up a little bit. White blood cells are produced. A histamine response happens, all culminating in a painful welt under the skin. Okay, as I said, the stinging nettles didn't become part of you at all, or go inside you. Just kicked off an internal response. So food does exactly the same. When you eat food, literally the food comes into contact with modified skin cells as it goes through the digestive system and stimulates reactions. Yeah. I'll just put this in here. How many people knew that natural flavourings such as strawberry, raspberry and vanilla are actually a substance called castoreum, which is the anal secretions of a beaver? Anybody? Yeah? That's it. That's it, folks. Yeah? And I asked the question, who was the first person to suck a beaver's ass to find out that it tasted of strawberries? Yeah. So yeah, you've no idea what is in your food. Yeah. Anything that's coloured red, yeah, is 9 times out of 10 crushed beetles, the cochineal beetle.